Chapter 21. Megatron looked out through the wall-spanning windows on the command bridge of Trypticon Station. Below, the surface of Cybertron. So much of it was his already, and more would be with every rotation. Dark Energon had made a difference immediately. The Decepticons were sweeping across Cybertron's surface, finishing off smaller pockets of Autobot holdouts and forcing the Autobots to defend more and more of their previously secure areas. So it went. The Decepticons struck and the Autobots retreated. They were making excellent use of Cybertron's subsurface tunnel networks, and the Decepticons could not pursue them as far as Megatron would have liked. Because while Dark Energon was marvelously powerful, it did not last the way Standard Energon did. And when it ran low, its negative qualities quickly began to overwhelm its enhancements. Several times Megatron had seen battles turn from Decepticon routes to incredible Autobot reversals because key Decepticons began to run low on Dark Energon. The tactics would adjust. They were already adjusting. But no adjustment would matter if the Dark Energon wasn't flowing. He spun and headed down to the Dark Energon facility, where Shockwave had taken some time away from his main project to check on the Dark Energon deprivation study begun on the first two test subjects. Given that the material was in fairly short supply, Shockwave thought it was worthwhile to see what would happen when a bot grew accustomed to it and then had to return to using regular Energon. The taste of Dark Energon was sweet, and the power it conveyed was mighty. There was not enough of it in the world to satisfy Megatron. It was the taste of power and the promise of more. It thrummed in the limbs and in the mind like certain immortality. But the Dark Energon was running out, and when it did. After the subjects had gone to orbits with no Dark Energon, Shockwave had found it necessary to muzzle them. As Megatron entered the depth now, the two were spasming in their bonds as the desire for Dark Energon transformed itself into agony at its absence. Megatron resolved that this would not happen to him if he had to kill every last bot on Trypticon Station and drain the Dark Energon from them himself. Although that, too, was merely postponing the inevitable. What they'd needed was more Energon that they could then convert to Dark Energon. The problem was twofold. 1, there was a shortage of Energon that threatened to bring the war to an end regardless of whether either side wanted it over. 2, even if there was a way to get enough Energon, there had to be a way to deliver it in mass quantities up to Trypticon Station's orbit. Otherwise he would have to risk the Dark Energon by taking it down to the surface, where anything could happen. There was no way to keep it perfectly under control once it got down to Cybertron proper. He outlined the problem for Shockwave and Soundwave as the experimental subjects, each sprouting a thicket of monitoring cables and sensors, jerked and fought against their bonds. Infusions of Energon, it seemed, did not help much. All I'm doing now, to be honest, is seeing how long it will take them to die, and record what happens along the way, Shockwave said. Don't waste time on this if it takes away from the other project, Megatron said. Shockwave inclined his head as he finished making a note on an interesting, to Shockwave, anyway, reading coming one of the test subjects. Yes, he said. I should get back to that. I'll be in the clean room. Laboratory if you need to find me. He left, and Megatron turned to Soundwave. Have you been looking into the transportation problem? It's not really my area, Soundwave said. Make it your area, Megatron said. Soundwave paused. Energon up here in large quantities. That's what you want? As he talked, he was thinking Megatron could tell this because when Soundwave thought hard, the many cons he carried got restless and became visible. Their silvery legs flicked around the edges of his trunk. I need an answer now, Megatron said. Prove to me that you haven't been wasting your time for the last million orbits. What do you know? How did the ancients move Energon? They would have needed incredible amounts to build the space bridges, among other things. Soundwave stayed silent. The mini-cons started to chirp in annoyance that he was not letting them go. Megatron walked up close to Soundwave, very close, and said quietly, I do not wish to be disappointed in this, Soundwave. No, there is a way, Soundwave said, snapping back into the present. I just had to find it. Teracycles ago, Back before the Autobots ratcheted up the security protocols on the datanet, my grid burrowers recovered an interesting story. Far below the surface is a lens. It matches a lens array in the planet-facing side of Trypticon. Once there was a link between the two, but it has been destroyed, or at least interrupted, since ancient times. And what of this lens? What does it focus? Megatron asked. It is known, or was once known, as the geosynchronous Energon Bridge, Soundwave said. My belief is that it is a way of reconstituting and concentrating energon into its most rarefied form, and transmitting that form to a receiving array, at which it can be restored to a more easily usable form. The Spymaster could barely control his avaricious glee. Megatron had two thoughts at once. One involved the glorious potential of an unlimited supply of energon, piped up from the center of Cybertron to a staging area on Trypticon, where it could be transformed into dark energon. And Trypticon itself would be the inaccessible and invulnerable base from which the Decepticons could at last overwhelm the dwindling and exhausted Autobot forces. And what if the link could be used the other way? What if dark energon could be force-fed directly into the material body of Cybertron itself? Do not get ahead of the plan, Megatron counseled himself. Make certain of one thing before you begin another. Starscream, he said. Move the station to a geosynchronous orbit. When it is established there, I have another mission for you. Now that the station is under control, I was looking forward to flying missions that involved actual combat, Starscream said. Megatron smirked. I'm sure you were, he said. After all, I have barely been able to keep you up here so far. I don't appreciate the mockery, Megatron. You know now why I stayed up here. Would you rather the Autobots had discovered dark energon? The Autobots would never have used dark energon, fool, Megatron said. You will need a better excuse. Starscream did something then that Megatron would not have credited him with the courage to do. He stepped up to Megatron, close enough that their faces nearly touched despite Megatron being larger. I need no excuse, Megatron, he said quietly. Have you considered that the Autobots might have destroyed the dark energon? Or hidden it somewhere else? Or destroyed Trypticon Station entirely? Where would your magnificent new plans be if any of those things had come to pass? Starscream, Megatron said. An action that turns out to be correct is not the same as proof that you acted correctly. If you need no excuse, then realize that I need no reason. I lead the Decepticons and I lead them as I choose. You stay on this station at my sufferance. You continue to exist at my sufferance. Continue to earn your position and you will continue to occupy it. Become more trouble than you are worth, and I will address the situation permanently. The challenge hung there in the air between them. Geosynchronous orbit, Starscream said. Megatron nodded. Yes. Won't do you much good if the Energon Bridge isn't activated and its lens isn't focused, Starscream said. You see, Starscream? Megatron smiled. More often than not, we think exactly alike.
Hello everyone, I am Nat1995 here with a small announcement for the video game fanfic plot. I know in every ending of videos there is a small announcement that I will take requests for any fanfic or video game. That will stop right now. I have too much videos that I need to complete. There's sequels that need to be put up. I am sorry. For any requests that people suggested will be put on the back burner until I completed my videos. I even made a list of videos that needed to be completed. I am so sorry about that. Until next time, I am Nat1995, signing off.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you guys want to watch more like it, please subscribe to my channel and become part of the video game fanfiction plot. And please leave a comment down below and hit that like button. If you guys have any suggestions on any stories you guys want me to read, don't hesitate. They're always welcome here in the video game fanfic plot. That also goes for video games. Until next time, goodbye!